Could you please say your name and spell it?
Tricia Booker, Tricia Booker.
And could you tell about your position here?
I am an adjunct instructor of journalism.
You mentioned struggles that your family has had to face. I know your son has anxious attachment disorder. What exactly is anxious attachment disorder?
Anxious attachment disorder is kind of a sub-thread of reactive attachment disorder. Reactive attachment disorder is when a child, it often develops when a child doesn't get the human interaction or the human care that he needs in his first 18 months or 2 years of life. And it doesn't have to be that long of a period. My son was in an orphanage for 7 months, and during that period he had very little human interaction. He was probably held for maybe 15 minutes a day, but even his bottles, when he got them, were propped up next to him. I'm sure he laid without having his diaper changed for hours on end. He actually self-stimulated by moving his head back and forth until he developed a cyst. That's happened to my daughter as well, a cyst on the back of his head, just so he could feel something.
Okay, you mentioned how your son had little human contact in the orphanage as well as your daughter. I know that your older daughter came from a different country. How did those two processes between your oldest child and your two younger children differ?
The process in Vietnam, my older daughter was born in Vietnam. It was about the same. Actually, they were significantly different. We waited for a referral or being assigned a baby for almost a year, until we were given a referral of the baby, Scout, who turned out to be my daughter, Scout. And that was pretty excruciating because you never know when or if it's going to happen. Once it did happen, we went to Vietnam within, I think, less than a month and met her and formally applied to adopt her. And then we went back 4 months later and were able to bring her home. During that time, she was in an orphanage, and it was a poor orphanage. I mean, dirt floors and very rudimentary supplies. They didn't have diapers. They wrapped towels around her bottom and tied them on there with handkerchiefs. But they were changed regularly, and I didn't see one case of diaper rash there. She actually slept on a tatami mat with her caretaker every night, so she was loved. My son's process was shorter, but he was in the orphanage for longer, and he did not have one-on-one care. He was in a bassinet in a room full of bassinets and got attended to for a few minutes every day. So he definitely didn't have anybody blow on his belly or give him kisses or play with him. And it made a difference in his emotional development and led to the anxious attachment disorder.
Okay, you just mentioned how that led to the anxious attachment disorder. As a whole, what issues did you face or any complications that arose from the international adoption process?
Well, I had a lot of headaches from it, that's for sure. I mean, I guess there's so many issues with the international adoption process that you don't know at the time, because once you sign up for international adoption and once you have it in your head that you're going to have a baby this way, it's really all you can think about. And especially after you get matched with a baby, you pretty much think of that baby as yours. And as is typical when you have a baby, you will do anything for that baby. And it doesn't matter what it takes, you want to care for that baby. It's really not the best frame of mind to be evaluating the ethics of a process, because all you can think about is that child. In hindsight, I think there are a lot of problems with the international adoption process. I think there are a lot of women who are pressured to give up their babies because they're poor. I think there are women who are paid to give up their babies. I think there are women who give up their babies for temporary care, not realizing that they're actually giving their babies up for adoption. I think that happens more than we would like. When we were going through the process, I had blinders on. I did not see that happening. Most of the problems we had while we were enduring the process were paperwork problems or people refusing to sign off on processes or judgments. It was more bureaucratic stuff. Now I see the other side of that.